Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. It's KepY2K here, and in this video we're going to discuss why mythic weapons might actually be hurting Fortnite. Now recently the water levels in Fortnite have been going down lower and lower, and it's been revealed that we are eventually going to be getting a Atlantis POI, and most likely with an Atlantis POI we will be most likely getting a new mythic weapon. Similar to what Fortnite did last season with Deadpool and Deadpool's pistols, we will most likely be getting Aquaman as a mythic boss at the Atlantis POI, along with a new mythic weapon, which will most likely be Aquaman's trident, and that'll most likely work the same way the lightsabers worked in season 1 and the Keysman umbrella worked last season, season 2.
Sing, 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 sing! Way! Is that in the game? Sing, sing! He's flying around the fucking map with his shitty sword.
It'll most likely operate in the same way, with probably a damage buff. But with a new mythic item most likely being added into the game, it opens up the conversation as to whether mythic items are actually bad for Fortnite. Now, a big topic of conversation in the Fortnite community has been the pacing of matches and how matches have been dying out very quickly, which has made Fortnite matches lack a lot of action and have been very slow paced. And mythic weapons being added into the game at the start of season 2 might be a big reason for that. I looked into pacing of Fortnite games before the addition of mythic weapons, and in season 1 chapter 2, pacing actually wasn't that big of an issue. Obviously the bigger issues in the first season of chapter 2 was the lack of mobility that was given at the start of the chapter, combined with the large new map, which caused a lot of running in the storm and a lot of time trying to look for people because we were on a brand new big map. Now obviously Fortnite fixed those issues by adding a bunch of mobility the past 2 seasons, but players dying out very early was actually not that big of an issue in the first season of chapter 2. But it did start becoming an issue with the addition of mythic items onto the map. Now what mythic items obviously do is they make it so a lot of players want to land on them to be able to get an advantage in the game. And what happens is many players land at the mythic POIs, and if they don't land at the mythic POIs, they land near them and then rotate in, which causes a lot of early game fighting. And what happens is it causes for a very chaotic early game, but it leaves the mid game and end game lacking a lot of players because they all fought early game for the mythic items. So mythic items have actually caused matches to be very slow paced because there's not that many players left after the first circle. So what we are going to do in this video is come up with some solutions for Fortnite to be able to better work mythic items into the game without hurting the overall pacing of Fortnite matches. The obvious solution would be just to remove mythic weapons from the game. I actually don't think that's the best idea in the world, at least for public matches. Obviously you could have a discussion for competitive Fortnite matches, but in terms of public matches, I think that personally it is fun to have mythic weapons especially when you have them. I think they make for an exciting factor into the game, and I don't think Epic really wants to remove them, but I do think there's some ways that they could be better worked into the game where they can exist and the entire match doesn't feel like it's suffering as a result of that. So obviously the first solution Epic could implement for mythic weapons would be to have them be random spawns on the map. They would spawn randomly from chests just like any other weapon. This way players wouldn't know where they would be appearing on the map, and as a result it wouldn't change the location at which players were dropping. They wouldn't all land at some central location to be fighting over a mythic item. Instead it would be purely RNG based, and whoever got lucky and opened a chest that contained the mythic item would be able to use it throughout the match, or until they get eliminated and it would be passed on to another player. A second option for Epic would be to adopt a mechanic that they used back in season 9, which was hot drops. Now if any of you don't remember hot drops, they were added in season 9, and this was where a location on the map would appear in gold text, and what that meant, there would be loot drones at those locations that dropped blue or rarer weapons, and they could be any location on the map, and that gave players an incentive to go land there. So a way Fortnite could implement this back into the game is maybe for mythic items to randomly be spawned onto a location on the map, with the only difference being that the location would not reveal itself until the first circle revealed itself. That way all the players will have landed by the time that the mythic location reveals itself, and then players can choose whether they want to go to that location to get the mythic weapon. Most likely not all players would go and out of their way after they looted their first drop spot to go loot for the mythic weapon. So this is another way that they could still exist on the map and not have a lot of players be dying off trying to fight for them. A third option, and my most favorite option, is to make mythic weapons spawn from supply drops. It would still work the same way, where there would only be one of each mythic weapon on the map that could be spawned, but instead of them just being spawned into a location or in a chest, they would be spawning out of a random supply drop. In this scenario, they would only be able to be worked into the game towards the end or middle of a game, and since you wouldn't know which supply drop it was coming out of, it would make going after supply drops a more calculated risk with a much higher reward. And obviously, if we're going to touch upon mythic weapons, we also have to talk about the vault and the vault keycard, as well as the mythic bosses. I actually don't believe the vault keycards are a bigger reason as to why players go to mythic POIs as the actual mythic weapons, but they are obviously an incentive for players to go to those locations. An idea Epic could work into the game would be to make vault keycards spawn separate from mythic items, and instead for vault keycards to spawn in chests. And once you get the vault keycard, instead of having vault keycards that are specific to one location, if you get a vault keycard from a chest, it will be able to open any of the vaults that are on the map. And obviously, once you open the vault keycard disappears from your inventory. This is another more random way that would make obviously getting the loot from the vault more random, but it would stop the problematic early game fights that happen at the mythic locations where the vaults are at. And lastly, for mythic bosses, I don't believe Fortnite would ever want to remove mythic bosses, at least for the time being, just because the mythic bosses are integral for the storyline portion of Fortnite. What they would be able to do to be able to keep them existing on the map would be to have the mythic bosses guard the vaults, and they would still carry their mythic weapon, but if you kill the mythic boss, their weapon does not drop when you kill them. All in all, I believe these couple methods that I've suggested here in the video would be a good way to be able to work mythic items into the game, but also not ruin the pacing of a Fortnite match. A big reason why they don't remove or fix certain things is because they connect to the Fortnite storyline. So in being able to have mythic bosses still remain on the map, just in a different way, would not inconvenience Epic. Yes, many of the suggestions that I have proposed are a lot more random, but in this case, I think the randomness would actually be helpful for Fortnite as a whole, and is something that I hope Epic looks at in the near future, maybe even for the next season. So with all that said, I want to know, which of these ideas do you guys think Epic should implement into the game? And if you don't agree with any of the ideas I had concerning mythic weapons, let me know down in the comments what ideas do you guys think Epic should implement to rework mythic weapons into the game, and what are your thoughts on mythic weapons in Fortnite. With all that said, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to join the squad, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.